Yes, sir.
Just 5 minutes, 2 minutes, we'll wait and then we'll start. Wait.
Okay, sir.
Yes, must start presenting.
Yes, sir. A 18-year-old male, Mr. Dinesh Kumar, coming from Guindy, who is a student belonging to low socioeconomic status, presenting with chief complaints of swelling in the right side of the neck for 8 months.
Yes. Okay. So it's the right side of the neck. You run 2 projectors in your mind. Again, what are all the structures present on the right side of the neck?
Carotids, sir.
No. Anyway, always whenever you are thinking about it, start from the skin. That is always better.
Skin, superficial fascia, deep cervical fascia,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yes, continue.
In superficial fascia, deep cervical fascia.
Before, what are all the deep to deep cervical fascia? What are all the things there? You have to classify whether it is in the center, midline, or in the lateral side. That is what you have to decide about it.
Okay.
Okay, on the lateral side, what are all the structures there? You have the carotids, interjugular vein, the vagus nerve, the lymph nodes, everything is there, no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, any swelling you are saying this right side of the neck means it is in the lateral side. In the center, you will have the trachea, esophagus, etc. But in the lateral side, lymph nodes, the carotids, the jugular vein, the vagus, everything is going to be there. So, any swelling in an 18-year-old, again, you have to think about, is it congenital, traumatic, inflammatory, neoplastic, or degenerative? That is, you have to run in there. The lymph nodes are the main thing in the right side of the neck. Apart from the vascular structure, you have the lymph nodes on the side. Okay, proceed.
History of presenting illness. The patient was apparently normal 8 months back, after which he developed swelling on the right side of the neck, which is insidious in onset for past 8 months, initially small in size, gradually progressive to attain the current size.
Okay.
There is no history of pain or discharge, history of rise of temperature present, history of loss of weight.
Rise of temperature when? Evening rise or?
Evening rise, sir.
Okay.
History of night sweats, no history of trauma, no history of cough with hemoptysis, no history of epistaxis or nasal block, no history of oral ulcers, no history of ear pain, ear discharge, no history of abdominal pain, hematemesis and melena, no history of swollen testis, no history of hoarseness of voice, no history of deviation of tongue, no history of frequent bleeding, no history of swelling inside.
I'll call you on phone. Yes, continue. So you have a history of 8 months duration. Can it be congenital?
No, sir.
Cannot be congenital. Can it be traumatic?
Yes, sir.
Traumatic. You ask the history, no, there is no history of trauma. Is it possible?
No, sir. No, sir.
So then you have inflammatory. Is it possible? Definitely 8 months system. Is it acute inflammatory or chronic inflammatory? 8 months.
Chronic inflammatory. Sir.
Chronic inflammatory. Neoplastic, is it a possibility?
Yes, sir.
Neoplastic, malignant or benign, both are possibility. Degenerative in 18-year-old, possibility?
No, sir.
No. So ultimately, you have a swelling in the right side of the neck, which could be a chronic inflammatory etiology or a neoplastic etiology. That is the whole thing you are there. Now, you are with these things itself, you know there is a swelling in the right side of the neck due to chronic inflammatory or a neoplastic etiology. And then now you have to find out in which structure it is arising from. That is the whole idea about it. Just go ahead. So you have insidious onset, that is it slowly, and there is no, you said evening rise of temperature. What does evening rise of temperature tell you?
It is of tuberculous origin, sir.
Okay, then there is no cough, no hemostasis, no pain, no discharge. Where are you talking about pain and discharge? From the swelling itself.
Sir?
Where you are expecting the pain and discharge?
In acute conditions.
No history of pain and discharge. You are talking about in the swelling or somewhere else?
Swelling, sir, swelling.
Swelling. Apart from that, you have to look at the drainage areas. If it is lymph nodes, you have to look at the other areas where it can cause all these things. Okay, that is chronic CSOM or anything like that can also cause this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, proceed. You have covered all these things here. Yes, past history.
Past history, no history of similar complaints in the past, no history of diabetes, hypertension, TB, asthma, jaundice, no history of previous surgery or hospitalization. Personal history consumes non-vegetarian diet, normal and bowel and bladder habits, no history of alcoholism or smoking present, history of contact with TB patient. Family history, father is a known TB patient.
Okay.
General examination, the patient is conscious oriented, poorly built and nourished. There is no pallor, no icterus, no clubbing, no cyanosis, no pedal edema, no generalized lymphadenopathy.
Okay.
Vitals, pulse rate 74 per minute, normal in rate, rhythm, volume, character. All peripheral pulses are felt and there is no vessel wall thickening. Respiratory rate 18 per minute, abdominothoracic type. BP is 120 by 80 millimeter mercury, measured in the right upper arm in sitting posture. Is afebrile.
Okay.
Local examination, inspection, there are two swellings.
Right now, till now, do you have any indication towards which anatomical structure it is originating
from? Lymph nodes.
Lymph node possibility is high because there is evening rise of temperatures, insidious onset, location, all these things there. But what are all the differential diagnosis? You have to think of a carotid tumor or carotid body tumor. A branchial cyst can present in that area. So many things can be there. Schwannoma in the arising from the vagus nerve also can present as a swelling in that. So you cannot clear cut say that this is originating from lymph node or not. But lymph node is high possibility because a lot of lymph nodes are there. So that's why we are going into local examination. Now we know it is swelling which is due to chronic inflammatory or a neoplastic origin. Now we have to find out the anatomical structure. For that, we will do the local examination. Yes, go ahead.
Inspection of swelling 1. It is present on the right side of the neck, lower side along the sternocleidomastoid muscle in the anterior triangle. It is 5 × 4 centimeter in size.
Lower side, right side, lower.
Right lower side. Right lower.
Right. Okay. That means you are talking about the just above the clavicle. You are talking about.
Yes, sir.
Right. Go ahead.
Extension, upper border is 3 centimeter from the angle of mandible. Lower is 3 centimeter from the clavicle. Medial 3 centimeter from the midline and lateral extent.
How much is the size of the swelling?
5 × 3.
So you say upper border is 3 centimeter. 5 centimeter is the swelling. Another 3 centimeter you are reaching clavicle. That means the whole neck is only 11 centimeters. That is what you are trying to tell us. Do you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Right. You are. It is. Is it in the middle or lower or upper? That is what you have to make sure very clearly.
Okay.
Is it in the upper deep cervical node, middle, lower deep cervical? Which you are going to, which group you are talking about?
Middle, sir.
Middle. Okay. Right. Go ahead.
It is hemispherical in shape, has a smooth surface.
Hmm.
Skin over the swelling is normal. No scars, sinuses, or dilated veins present. No visible pulsation or cough impulse seen.
Okay.
Swelling 2 is present on the right lower lateral aspect in the anterior triangle. It is 3 cross 3 centimeter. Extent, upper extent is 5 centimeter from the angle of mandible. Lower 8 centimeter from the angle of mandible. Medial 8 centimeter from the midline and lateral 7 centimeter from the spine.
Medial is 8 centimeter from the midline. Is it here? No. How will it be 8 centimeter from the midline? You are talking about anti-triangle. No, anti-triangle is narrowest in the lower part. Somewhere the extent you are confusing yourself, Nanikar, actually.
Yes, sir.
Right. Go ahead. Next.
Hemispherical in shape, smooth surface. Skin over the swelling is normal. No scars or sinuses or dilated veins seen. No visible pulsations or cough impulse. Oral cavity, no growth, no ulcer, dental caries present. Poor oral hygiene. Nasal cavity is free. Here is
Just a
normal.
moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. Continue. Lower oral cavity, no ulcers, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
Ear is normal, no discharge present. Scalp is normal.
Okay.
Palpation, the swelling is not warm, not tender. Inspectory findings are confirmed. Smooth surface, freely mobile. Skin over the swelling is pinchable. It is firm in consistency.
Okay. Continue.
No fluctuation is present. Not transilluminant. No cough impulse present. No pulsations. No fixity to the skin. Surrounding areas are normal. Plane of the swelling is deep to deep cervical fascia.
Yes. So your swelling plane is deep to deep cervical fascia. The pulsation is absent. So pulsation is absent. It is definitely not from the carotid. And cough impulse, very rarely, with swelling, you will get cough impulse. Only when it is connected to the trachea or the larynx. Only the ventricle sinus of the larynx is there, then you might get it. Otherwise, you won't get any cough impulse there. Okay. There is no fluctuation. That means it's a solid swelling, right? What is the possibility? Go ahead, continue. We'll come to that later.
Percussion, it is dull. Auscultation, no bruit heard. Movement, there is no restriction of movement. Spine and cranium are normal.
Okay.
Other system examination, abdomen, soft, non-tender, no organomegaly present.
Okay, everything is normal, right?
Diagnosis, right-sided cervical lymphadenopathy involving level 3 nodes of benign etiology, probably tuberculosis origin.
Okay. Why do you think of it as a lymph node? Why do you think it is tuberculosis origin?
There is history of evening rise of temperature, fever and night sweats present, sir.
That's the only thing. Then next.
When of young age, there is no other trauma or any other etiology for other swellings present.
By 18 years, you can have an Hodgkin's lymphoma, no?
But in Hodgkin's, there is generalized lymphadenopathy, sir.
Yeah, to begin with, it will start with somewhere, no?
Yes, sir.
So basically, what you want to say is from the exam, because it's situated deep cervical fascia, and the size of the swelling going in this direction, it's an oval swelling. These sort of things tells you in the location of lymph node. You are thinking about a lymph node, and why you think of TB now here? Okay, evening rise of temperature is one thing. Other than that, you have to. The common things are common in India. Tuberculosis is the most common thing. Okay, so you are thinking of tuberculosis, and you said one more node is also present, so it goes into multiple category. Whenever there is a lymph node swelling, your possibility is here we thought of chronic inflammatory or neoplastic. Chronic inflammatory, commonest thing in our part of the world is tuberculosis. Okay, that's one thing. Number two is neoplastic. Neoplastic can be primary or secondary. Primary is, what are all the primary causes of lymph node enlargement is, it could be a lymphoma. Lymphoma can be Hodgkin's lymphoma or a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay. Secondaries from the upper aerodigestive tract, secondary deposits in the lymph node can also happen. So any lymph node is there, these are all the possible diagnoses there. So how are you going to find out what it is?
By investigations.
Okay.
Routine blood investigations are done. Total count, differential count, ESR hemoglobin, urea electrolytes are done.
Okay.
Specific investigations, FNAC
Okay.
of the lymph node, X-ray chest,
Okay.
Panto test,
Okay.
ultrasound next, sputum culture sensitivity, acid fast staining.
Okay. Sputum is that there is no cough. No?
Yes, sir, but
Half an hour. Yes, continue. So sputum culture, when the sputum is not at all coming, what will you do?
gas washings.
Early morning gastric lavage, they say mostly in children it is used, not in adults. Okay, right. Acid fast staining of the sputum itself. When the sputum is not coming, so what will be the ultrasound neck? What will you look at? What are all the findings you look at?
Of the nodes.
Yes, whether the swelling is definitely from the lymph node, that is what one you can see, and whether it is solid or cystic, that is the next thing you can see. Cysticness, sometimes caseation happens, now it will become cystic. So that is what you want to see in the ultrasound. Next would be Mantoux test, is a non-specific test. If it is because BCG vaccination, they might pick up false positive test may also happen, but it is not a direct test. Yeah, X-ray chest, if you have tuberculous findings, any lung lesions are there, that might be contributory towards tuberculosis, otherwise it not be useful. FNAC, what are all the things you will see in FNAC in tuberculosis?
Lymphocytosis.
More than that, if it is to be tuberculosis, you have to find out whether epithelioid cells are picked up and Langerhans giant cells, if it is picked up. These things are there, then it is possibility of tuberculosis high. Otherwise, it again FNAC may not give, so most of the times the lymphomas and TB are coexisting. So most of them FNAC alone may not be enough in cases of neck node investigation. FNAC might point to some direction, but ideally, half an hour. Ideally, you have to do a biopsy to confirm your diagnosis. Okay. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Before going treatment, you haven't established a diagnosis. With FNAC, how will you diagnose? If you have a sputum culture tells us AFB, that means a lung tube is there. But what is this node? You have to do an excision biopsy. You have to suggest the patient for a biopsy, true cut biopsy or an excision biopsy of the lymph node has to be done to make a true cut. We don't do because residual sinus might form. Better would be to go for an excision biopsy to rule out a lymphoma, right? That is the ideal thing. Any case, and before that, you have to do a laryngoscopy and the oral examination, nasal examination with all these things has to be done to rule out any foci in the upper abdomen, upper aerodigestive tract that can present with a secondary in the neck. But 18 years is very young age to get a secondary. Primary lymphoma is a possibility or a TB is a possibility, but secondaries is a bit rare in 18-year-old. That's why we are not worried. But anyway, whenever you are going, before touching a secondary, you have to rule out any primary lesion anywhere. So look at the oral examination alone, you have mentioned in your clinical examination. Now we might have to do a laryngoscopy to see the pyriform fossa, all this area, and then nasal examination to look at the fossa of Rosenmuller, nasopharynx, all these things has to be examined to rule out any swelling or ulcer in that area, which could be a primary carcinomatous lesion from where the secondaries could have come to the node. That is what is our worry. So if at all you can't, if you could make out a diagnosis, any primaries picked up, it's good. If you can't pick up primaries, then you do a excision biopsy node. That would be there. Excision biopsy will tell you whether it is tuberculosis or lymphoma. If it is tuberculosis, what are the things you are going to do? Yes.
Anti-TB treatment is started, sir.
Okay.
2 months of isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol, and 4 months of isoniazid, rifampicin.
Yes. Dosage is important. Side effects of the drugs you have to know. Isoniazid dosage, you know,
75 milligram.
75 milligram. Adult dosage is 5 milligram per kg body weight. Maximum of 300 milligram is isoniazid. Rifampicin, again 450 milligram, 5 to 10 milligram per kg body weight. Up to 450 or 600 can be used. Pyrazinamide is 25 milligram per kg body weight. Ethambutol is 15 milligram per kg body weight. You can write 5, 10, 15, 25. That is the simple thing to remember that. So isoniazid, rifampicin, ethambutol. What is the common side effect of isoniazid?
Peripheral neuritis.
Peripheral neuritis, why it happens? How can you prevent peripheral neuritis from happening?
By giving pyridoxine, sir.
Pyridoxine. B6 deficiency can cause peripheral neuritis. So supplement with INH. You have to supplement with pyridoxine has to be added. Then what is the common side effect of rifampicin?
Red colored urine. And it is hepatotoxic.
Hepatotoxicity is very important thing. Then they will you have to instruct the patient. They might have orange colored urine passing. They might pass orange colored urine. That is the important thing you have to tell them. They will, otherwise they will get worried that it may be due blood in the urine. Okay.
Okay.
What is the commonest thing side effect of ethambutol?
Retrobulbar neuritis.
So what will be the manifestation?
Color blindness, sir.
Yes, color blindness. Color blindness is a very important complication of ethambutol. That is what you are. If it, any signs are there, you have to stop the drug. What is the common side effect of pyrazinamide?
Hyperuricemia.
Hyperuricemia might happen. That is the important side effect of pyrazinamide. Okay, these are all the things. 4 months you use it, 2 months the isoniazid and rifampicin alone. If first if they are resistant drugs, then you might have to go for second line of drugs. Do you know some second line of drugs?
Fluoroquinolone, sir.
Okay.
And injectable second line drugs like amikacin, kanamycin.
Okay, streptomycin, all these things can be tried. Okay, cycloserine, kanamycin, all these things are there. So main thing is anti-tuberculosis therapy. You have to know about the dosages properly, maximum weight, how much you have to give, and then side effects. These are all the important things. Suppose it is not tuberculosis, it comes as lymphoma. What will you do? Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Excision, sir. Excision on the notes.
Excision is not the treatment for lymphoma.
Negative.
Lymphoma means lymphoma is a systemic. You don't do excision alone. You have to stage the disease, whether it is present in the neck alone or it is there in the mediastinum, below the diaphragm, above the diaphragm, other lymph node groups. All these things are present or not. That based on that only is the treatment. There is staging for lymphoma. Any malignancy, there is a staging. Stage 1, stage 2. Have you? How many types of lymphoma are there? The Hodgkin's. Hodgkin's.
2 types, sir.
Hodgkin's 4 types, sir.
Nodular and classical.
Yes. What are the types?
Sir, in classical there are 4 types, sir. Lymphocytic rich, lymphocytic depletion, mixed cellularity, and nodular sclerosis.
Nodular sclerosis. Fantastic. Yes. Nodular type?
In nodular type there are 6 patterns, sir.
Okay.
A to F. First one, it is a diffuse large B cell.
Okay. Is it Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's you are talking about?
Non-Hodgkin's.
I am talking about Hodgkin's. When you have Hodgkin's is more possibility in 18-year-old. Hodgkin's is more possible. Non-Hodgkin's is less. What are all the other findings, clinical signs to say? Can you differentiate between Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's? Somewhat vaguely in clinical. Ultimately, pathology, histopathology is going to confirm. Anything to look for in clinical examination?
Sir, Hodgkin's lymphoma, most commonly cervical lymph node is involved, sir. But in non-Hodgkin's, any group of lymph node can be involved.
Yes, that is more of axial lymph nodes could be involved in Hodgkin's. Peripheral lymph nodes can be appendicular, peripheral lymph nodes can be involved in non-Hodgkin's. Then
splenomegaly and hepatomegaly are more common in Hodgkin's lymphoma, sir.
More common Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's?
Hodgkin, sir.
Okay.
Mm,
Other organ involvement, basically apart from lymph nodes, other organ involvement are more common in non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But liver and spleen basically comes under reticuloendothelial system. So that is different. Here, Hodgkin's lymphoma usually will be confined to the lymphoreticular system. But the stomach, intestine, or anything is involved, non-Hodgkin is a possibility. And then there is something we call a cyclical fever. Sir, it is student in class. Okay, Hodgkin's lymphoma, there will be something called as a cyclical fever. 21-day cyclical fever might be there, intermittent, it's called as Bell-Epstein's fever might be there, and itching might be there in case of Hodgkin's. Non-Hodgkin's may not be there. These are some of the findings. This is not classical to say this is Hodgkin's, this is non-Hodgkin's, but this will be helping us to do it. So if you diagnose Hodgkin's, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, you just have something like that. Well, how will you treat the Hodgkin's lymphoma?
So stage 1 and 2 are treated by radiation therapy, sir.
Stage 1 and 2, that means radiotherapy. It is localized tumor, that is, the lymph nodes are localized either to the neck alone, neck and mediastinum alone, that is there. If it is beyond both sides of diaphragm or any, it becomes an advanced stage. So when it is involved in the local external beam radiation can be used, or sometimes what they called as a mantle field radiation for chest and mediastinum can be used. Inverted Y fields if it is in the iliac nodes. These are the things we can use for radiation. Suppose you can't control it locally, there is no surgery for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Hodgkin's lymphoma is not cured by surgery at all. So don't think about surgery. Yeah, if it is very localized group, very close group, you can see that area, then radiotherapy is the best thing. If it is spread beyond certain area, if it is stage 3 or 4, what will be your option? You can't do radiation or surgery. Then what is the next option available?
Chemotherapy.
Chemotherapy. What is a regimen you use for Hodgkin's lymphoma?
ABVD regimen.
ABVD regimen is very commonly used for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Can you tell me what is ABVD?
Aldriamycin, bleomycin, vincristine, dacarbazine.
Yes. So this is the, if you know about the dose is fine, at least remember the regimen. That is very, very important. For Hodgkin's lymphoma, there are 2 roles available. If you think the lymph nodes is for everyone to understand, remember this, if you can limit the spread, if you can find out the lymph node extension is very small area, confined to a small area, radiotherapy can be used. If you think the area of involvement is wide, then we have to use chemotherapy. That means it is systemic. So you can't do only with radiotherapy. You have to give chemotherapy. ABVD regimen is there. If it is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, what will you do?
So starting from chemotherapy.
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is usually never starts as a local disease. Usually it's a systemic disease. So we can't do, most of the time the picking up itself takes very late. You won't pick it up in the early stages. So usually chemotherapy might be the option available. Do you know any regimen for chemotherapy?
CHOP regimen.
CHOP regimen. CHOP and MOP regimen. Do you know what is CHOP regimen?
It's cyclophosphamide, hydroxydoxorubicin, vincristine, and prednisolone.
Vinblastine. O is oncovin, which is called as vinblastine, and then prednisolone, procarbazine. This is what we use in MOP regimen. M is for methotrexate. That's what you replace it, right? So this is a regimen for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Suppose it turns out to be secondaries in the lymph node. What will you do? It tells you when I take a biopsy, it comes as squamous cell carcinoma. What will you do?
Secondary excision.
No. Secondary means it is a primary tumor is somewhere. Squamous cell carcinoma deposit in the node. That means the primary can be in the upper aerodigestive tract or thyroid region. From there, the malignancy is spread to the lymph node and it is present there. That is the secondary lymph node. So you simply removing the secondary lymph node is not going to cure it. So you have to go and find out what is the primary cause. Primary level, how will you identify unknown primary? If the FNAC picks up a squamous cell deposit in the lymph node, that means it is a secondary lymph node you are dealing with. Secondary lymph node, then you have to find out what are all the components. So what you do, you go nasal endoscopy, oral, I told you, oral examination, laryngoscopy, all this area you see if there is any lesion there. Externally, and do ultrasound. When you are doing ultrasound or neck imaging, you can look for thyroid gland enlargement or anything like that, thyroid nodule or anything, which can show that there is a malignancy in the primary thyroid also. So these are all the things we look at. Once you identify the primary, then you treat the lesion as per the primary disease. If there is a oral cancer, say there is ulcer in the oral cavity, it comes as squamous cell carcinoma, and you have only one node, then you can think about composite resection for this lesion, along with radical neck dissection of the neck, either block dissection in the upper suprahumeroid or full right side, or any one. If you do radiotherapy, all these things are a possibility, but depends on the primary. So first and foremost, whenever FNAC turns out to be secondary, the important thing everybody will, I'll search for the primary. That should be your answer. So if you do an upper endoscopy and you have done laryngoscopy and nasal endoscopy, you don't find anything, any lesion at all, what will you do now? Then there is role for what is called as blind biopsy from occult sites. Occult sites are meaning they don't present with a obvious ulcer or growth there. Usually it will be looking normal on examination. But when you take a blind biopsy for certain areas, that will pick up. So what are all the sites? You have to take a blind biopsy in these regions. What are all the sites now? In the nose, you take it from the fossa of Rosenmuller. In the pyriform fossa, you take a biopsy. In the tonsillar fossa, you take. So these are all the areas we just take blind biopsies. Even though there is no lesion, you take a little bit biopsy and look for any metastasis, any primary lesion, any squamous cell carcinoma lesion, anything is there in picked up pathology in the histopathology from the blind biopsy sites, then it becomes, that is the primary region. Then we plan the treatment accordingly. That is what your next answer should be. If you can't, then in spite of all this, you can't find out any primary at all. Then it becomes an occult primary with the secondaries in the neck. That is the next problem. So if it is a squamous cell, usually upper aerodigestive tract means usually the deposits, it will be a squamous cell carcinoma. So it will be the node FNAC will show you only squamous cell. If the squamous cell carcinoma, one good thing about squamous cell carcinoma is it is radio sensitive, sensitive to radiotherapy. So if there is no primary at all and you couldn't find out any primary data, only secondaries are there, then we can think about only one node or two. You can think about external beam radiation to that area. If there are two or more nodes are there, you might think about radical neck dissection on that side also. If the primary is found, primary is treated as per the. Suppose primary lesion in this oral cavity is there, it is T1 lesion or lesion there, then radiotherapy or surgery are equally good. Okay, radiotherapy is very sensitive for squamous cell carcinoma. So if it is a very small lesion in the tongue or oral lesion, less than 2 centimeters, then we can go for a primary excision and flap cover, or you can go in for radiotherapy. This should be your answer. If it turns out to be an adenocarcinomatous deposit in the lymph node, then you have to go to the lower aerodigestion. That is, you have to look over the bronchus, the lungs, and the lower end of esophagus. All these things will come. But lower end of esophagus or stomach usually doesn't come to the neck node. But lungs can present with the neck node. That is what will be your, you have to search. And adenocarcinoma can be from thyroid also. So you have thyroid also. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically, definitely if there is a neck node swelling, it will be kept in your exam. Basically, I want you to, the examination part is very, very simple. You don't have to think about three things. Okay, either a chronic inflammatory possibility, that is tuberculosis is the commonest thing. Then you have malignancy. Malignancy, there is no benign tumor in lymph nodes. So usually neoplasia in the lymph node, it will be a malignant lymph node deposit. Malignancy means it can be primary or secondary. Primary is Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which can be classified as Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's. If it is secondary mostly in the upper deep cervical, mostly upper and middle, usually squamous cell deposits might be there. So squamous cell carcinoma is possible. The lower cervical nodes, there also squamous cell deposits are possible. Sometimes adenocarcinomas deposits also possible. So by treating tuberculous lymph node, you always treat it with anti-tuberculous chemotherapy. The lymph node, lymphomas, again tuberculosis, you give with anti-tuberculous therapy. Lymphoma means if it is Hodgkin's lymphoma, it is a localized disease like in stage 1, you can think about radiotherapy. If it is stage 3 and beyond, then chemotherapy is the only option. Chemotherapy, commonest thing is ADVB regimen. And if it is a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, usually surgery or radiotherapy is not of much use in non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Chemotherapy may be the only option available. We use CHOP regimen or MOP regimen for chemotherapy. If it is secondary deposits in the lymph node, if it is squamous cell, to go for the primary, and treatment is based on the primary, not on the lymph node alone. Treatment usually primary lymph node, primary. There is oral carcinoma, tongue carcinoma, buccal, all these things you decide that what is the primary, and you manage the secondaries based on the primary stage of the disease, based on the primary size of the primary and the other lymph nodes possible. If it is a secondary from adenocarcinomas deposit, surgery or chemotherapy may be of much only option available. Radiotherapy is not much useful in adenocarcinomatous deposit. This is what I want you. If it is comes as a short case, lymph nodes will come as a short case. If you know all these 4 things, then will be through. Any doubts? I'll take it now. Hello.
Sir, can you please repeat the primary and secondary treatment again, sir?
Primary and second. Primary, any swelling, primary malignant lesion in the lymph node can be lymphoma, is called as lymphoma. Lymphoma can be classified into two types are there, Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's. If it is Hodgkin's, you give, if it is a localized disease like stage 1, only one group of lymph node are involved, or just adjacent group of lymph node involved, then radiotherapy is an option. External beam radiotherapy is the treatment. If stage 3 or stage 4, if multiple areas or large areas are involved, then you can't treat it with radiotherapy. Then you have to go for chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, the commonest regimen used for Hodgkin's lymphoma is ADVB regimen. Okay, right. Then if you have non-Hodgkin's, I told you mostly systemic. Surgery and radiotherapy is not of much use. You have to use chemotherapy, may be the only option available. So chemotherapy, usually CHOP regimen or MOP regimen used for non-Hodgkin's. So in case of secondary deposit, secondary means it is not the tumor cells present there which is going into malignant fashion. It is some other malignancy getting deposited in the lymph node. Usually squamous cells or columnar cells, that is adenocarcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma, can deposit in the lymph nodes. Okay, so if it is squamous cell carcinoma, usually the site of origin primary would be the upper aerodigestive, right, buccal cavity, nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. These are all the commonest thing. Adenocarcinoma, it can be in the lower end of esophagus, the lungs and the bronchial tree, or the thyroid. These are all the possibility for adenocarcinoma. So in treatment of secondary is not based on the lymph node alone. It depends on the primary. What is the lesion? How is the size of the TNM staging of the primary lesion? Based on that, you go for the treatment. Just like it will be a separate class, because if it is a lip carcinoma, you have a separate staging. Tongue, it's different. And basically it is, if it is a very small lesion in the oral cavity, then we can think about doing surgical excision of the primary and block dissection, radical neck dissection of that area. If the lymph nodes are confined only to the upper deep cervical, we can think of upper suprahomoyoid block dissection also. Suppose both above and below the omoids or the lymph nodes are involved, then we might have to go for radical neck dissection on that side, one side alone. Sometimes midline lesion, you can have secondaries both sides, then it becomes a tricky thing actually. Okay, then also we have to go ahead with depending on the lymph node status and the primary status only. Suppose it is adenocarcinoma, thyroid or anything, all of you know papillary or follicular, we go for total thyroidectomy. With in medullary carcinoma, even if there is no node, we go for central neck dissection. And in thyroid malignancy, we do what is called as, we don't go for radical neck dissection, we do functional neck dissection on the involved side. That is what is a treatment offered for thyroid malignancy. Lung, again, based on the lung lesion, how much is the size and how much is the extent, depending on that, whether we combine with lobectomy or not or anything like that, that depends on the primary lesion. So secondaries, you can't define that this is the treatment I'll give. We can't define it because it depends mainly on the primary lesion. What is the primary? That is the important thing. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope you all are definitely
you,
lymph node case. If it comes, it will be kept as a short case. Very easy. What I have covered the whole spectrum of it. Definitely, you can cover everything. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.